am Al. Welcome to CiNEMACHiNE. I'm here with Ryan.
How's it going?
And Brandon.
Hello there.
And this week we are going to review the movie that you all voted on. But before we get to that, let's make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with us, how you can vote on what we're going to watch next week. Ryan, you want to clue them all in?
I'd be glad to, Al.
Thank you.
Yeah. Easiest thing to do would be to scroll down in the comments, and you can drop your votes in there. Also, we recommend you follow us on Instagram at CiNEMACHiNEPod, and we do our best to make fun of Al there every week, at least once or twice.
Very good job. Very good job.
Yeah. And you can also, we'll have a graphic up there after we release the episode where you can vote on next week's review.
There you have it.
See,
yes.
it's simple.
It's simple. Just click and make fun of Al. Well, this week we are reviewing Ryan's pick, which is
W.
Yes.
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men. Now, this movie was released November 9th, 2007. It was directed and written by the Coen brothers, Ethan and Joel. Had a budget of $25 million, and it had a box office of $171,627,166.
Remember when
Now-
movies had box offices that high?
Remember when movies had box offices? Period. Like, remember when you could go to a theater and watch movies? The
I feel
synopsis
like the last several reviews we've done, you've been like, box office of $16,000.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like the box office for like blockbusters in my world, you know. So like it's like, whoa, that was awesome. So the synopsis of this movie is Llewellyn Moss, which is a great name for a fella, finds the grisly aftermath of a drug deal. Though he knows better, he cannot resist the cash left behind and takes it with him. The hunter becomes the hunted with a merciless killer named Sugar, or Sugar, as we'll find out later. Picks up his trail. Also looking for Moss is Sheriff Bell, an aging lawman who reflects on a changing world and a dark secret of his own as he tries to find and protect Moss. This movie stars Tommy Lee Jones, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Woody Harrelson, Kelly MacDonald, and Garrett Dillahunt. So, folks, this movie, as we said, came out in 2007. It's also based off of the Cormac McCarthy novel. Ryan's been reading a lot lately. Have you ever read a Cormac McCarthy novel?
Yeah.
Did he write Star Wars books?
Star Wars books recently. So to answer your question simply, no.
Okay.
I have not.
All right. So, Brandon, we'll start with you.
Have you, Al?
Have I read this book? I have not read this one, but I have read one other of his.
Gotcha.
And it was because of this movie. I went to the library to get No Country for Old Men, and it was out because everybody had it at the time. So I grabbed another one. So, Brandon, what was your first reaction to this movie, and how did you first see this movie in a theater, at home? How did you go about it?
I saw this movie on DVD, I guess, when it came out on home video. I didn't see it in the theater. And I only saw it once. This is the second time I've seen it. Actually, I got to open a Blu-ray that I've had in my collection for years and years and years. And there was
Love when that happens.
It's so great. It's like, oh, I haven't watched this since I bought it, and I got to do that. And remember when they used to have the little like sticker on the spine? Got to do that. You don't get to do that anymore. I should have videoed it. Put it up on Criterion Cast or whatever.
Well, if you want a dust cover, I've got one.
Thanks.
It says the name on his sweatshirt, Brandon. Show some
is it?
respect for Al's show.
The Criterion Corner.
Corner, yes.
Yeah, it's more
Dead
accurate.
on.
If anybody wants that sweatshirt, it is not available.
Because Brandon and Ryan won't let it be available.
You have the login.
We're holding Al's merch hostage.
But yeah, so this was the second time I had watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered bits and pieces of it. Like, obviously, I remembered the characters and the cast and things like that, some of the set pieces. But, you know, kind of the point A to point B type stuff, I'd forgotten most all of it. So this was almost like watching it pretty fresh. And it was good. It was a good rewatch, I'll say. Watched it Sunday.
Did you watch it with Melissa?
Watched it with Melissa. She had never seen it. And she said, like, about 25, 30 minutes in, she goes, I thought this was a silly movie. What am I thinking of? Grumpy Old Men?
Grumpy Old Men. This is the really sad prequel. Yeah. To Grumpy Old Men. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of murder in this comedy.
She's like, this is
Where's Walter Matthau?
Yeah, I told her, I was like, I'm very interested because I remembered how it ended. And
Right.
She doesn't like movies like that. The end kind of like bonk. They're over.
Thinkers.
And I said, I'm interested to see what you think after this movie's over. And after, when the credits hit, written by Joel and Ethan Coen, she goes, what? But no, she
Well,
really
at least
liked
she
it.
stayed awake. At least
She really did like it. She loves a good kind of like suspense movie. But yeah, I mean, I thought this movie was great. I like Coen Brothers. I haven't watched a lot of their recent stuff. I don't think I didn't see the Buster Scruggs movie. Did any of you guys see that?
No. I saw bits of it, but it was like just little
It's like anthology
little
type things,
sketches
right?
almost, yeah.
Yeah. My dad's watched it, and he's like, the first one was really good, and then I don't know what happened to the rest of the movie.
He's like, I turned it off and put on Real Steel.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they did Burn After Reading, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Did they really? I didn't know that. I love that movie too.
I think I started the, what's the one with Clooney? The recent one with Clooney?
Oh, Hell Caesar?
Yeah. I started that. I didn't stick with it.
That's one that I I found that in the dollar store bin for $1. That's one that is wrapped in the plastic shrink wrap as well. I haven't opened it yet.
I think I got a digital copy of it for free through like Universal. Like,
Yeah.
you register and you get 4 free movies, and that was one of them. For good reason, I guess, because it's kind of boring to me. But anyway, back to this one. Yeah, I thought this movie was great. I love the cinematography. Obviously, Roger Deakins is the DP on this. It's
he's almost
pretty.
like our Sam Rockwell of cinematography on the show
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, who DP'd this movie? And then I looked it up, and I was like, this makes sense.
That makes
That's why. That's why it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, just across the board, the dialogue, as you kind of expect, kind of similarly to like a Tarantino movie, the dialogue is always really great with Coen Brothers movies. And like just the whole methodical nature of both Javier Bardem's character and Brolin's character, like how like thought out their like planning is back and forth. Kind of the cat and mouse stuff is just great. And yeah, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of people that I just forgot were in this movie, so that was fun to see again.
Well, that was a good 10-minute brief statement, Brandon.
Thanks.
So, Ryan, you got any thoughts on this movie? What was your first experience with this movie? Yeah, I mean, you nominated.
So
Obviously, it made a good impression.
Yeah, it was also a rental for me.
Mm.
And so the thing I remember the most about this movie, the dialogue is good, but it's the lack of dialogue that I enjoyed so much. Like, so much of this movie is just quiet and like it's just pure situational suspense.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time I really watched a movie that kind of had that. Felt it again kind of more recently with A Quiet Place. Obviously to a much greater extreme, but the simplest way I can put this is I had this movie had me at the compressed air gun at the beginning where he just like puts it up to the guy's forehead, pop.
That's a impactful moment for sure. And
Yep.
Javier Bardem, which we'll talk about the characters in a minute, sure was menacing. So to
gosh, yeah.
like that's putting it. That's way down here where he was like.
Had you guys seen? Were you guys familiar with him before this movie?
I was not.
No.
I was not.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't either. I was just
He's
curious.
I
He's
think
a big
that's
part of the reason I like Skyfall as one of my favorite James Bond movies.
Yeah. So, I did see this in the theater. I've been a Coen Brothers fan for some time, and tell you a quick aside. In college, there was a thing. I was in writing class for like scripts and such, and they were like, Joel Coen is coming. I was like, what? So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna meet Joel Coen, and it's like 10 people around a table. I'm so excited. And I sign up. I'm the first person on the list. I get the first chair right where he's going to be. And I got all these questions ready for Joel Coen of the Coen brothers. And I go in there and I'm sitting there and we're all talking. Everybody at the table's talking before he walks in. We're all like, oh man, I'm going to ask him about, Miller's Crossing. I want to talk about Barton Fink. I want to talk about this, all this stuff. In walks this guy, and he sits where Joel Coen's supposed to be sitting. We're like, he's like, hi, I'm Joel Coen. And we're like, I write for The Simpsons. Like, there's 2 Joel Coens.
Is he the guy that also tricked Bill Murray into being in the Garfield movie?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And that's exactly how he got Bill Murray in there. So every single person at this, and now he was great and he taught us a lot and whatnot, but you really got to give some, like, they didn't say
You're
from
like,
The Simpsons.
Come on.
Yeah, it was, I mean, he was really great. He was really nice. His name is Joel H. Coen, which they did not put the H on the sign either. Now, Joel H. Coen was very, very learned, and he taught us a lot, and he is very well written in his own right. But when you're jonesing for one of the Coen brothers and you get there and it's a Simpsons writer and you've got like 15,000 and everybody at the table was exactly the same. Every single person was waiting on.
You guys all should have just asked the questions you had prepared.
Well, then he was smart. He made jokes about like, and he told us the story about Bill Murray and everything. So yeah. he knew what was happening. so anyway, you had the people around the table. Those were the people that signed up, and then there were the people outside the room that just wanted to like meet Joel Coen. And as soon as it was kind of like the whispers went through the room, those people just like turned away and walked off. And so it was just the people around the table. But I learned a lot that day. So thanks, Joel H. Coen. Still a funny story. So
I'm sure he's a loyal listener.
Come on the pod.
Yeah.
Hey, I should bring him on, huh? We're all buddies now.
This episode.
Yeah. No, I had a great time talking to him, but you know what I'm saying. No, I like this movie a lot. Like I said, I like the Coen brothers. This movie reminds me of some of their earlier work, like Blood Simple, which is a movie I was going to nominate last week, but when I knew that you were going to nominate a Coen brothers movie, I went a different route. So, and I highly recommend everybody watch Blood Simple. But the Coen brothers have this crazy checkered, like, kind of resume where it's like they have some great movies, and then they have things like Lady Killers with like Tom Hanks, and Lady Killers was just a couple years before this movie. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they have great movies.
Got a Bob De Niro situation.
They have like Raising Arizona, Fargo, Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing, This,
Brother, we're out though.
yeah, I mean, that's not one on my list, but a lot of people do like it. The Big Lebowski, Hudsucker Proxy is a really good movie.
Too
But,
popular for you, Al.
No, I don't like George
Big of a
Clooney.
hit.
I don't like George Clooney. You can see him looking at the lens like, I'm a movie star. So,
He's awesome.
Great. Now we're never
Good
getting
guy.
George on the pod.
yeah. So anyway, we had to call it Clooney Cast. He'd make us change it. So, but anyway, this movie is right there. Like you were saying, it's quiet. It's disturbing how quiet it is. There's like really no score at all. And it's just, it feels like you're in this eternity of a moment when you're waiting for your, like, when you're like, whew, you know, like you have those moments where you think you're in trouble or something.
When I look back on this movie, as far as like sounds, like the thing that always comes to my mind is just like whistling wind.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like they just really drive home the geographics of the movie with that.
Yeah, and the wounding and all of that looked really real and felt real, and you could feel the grit in this movie. So I really enjoyed this movie. This is one of their better movies, in my opinion. But yeah, I really enjoyed this coming out of the theater. Like I said, I was eager to go straight to the library and try to read the book. And it was my first time hearing of Cormac McCarthy. So I ended up getting The Road and read that book. If you haven't read that book, it's really good. I think they actually made that into a movie as well.
They did. It's
but-
good.
Okay.
Viggo Morgenstein.
So,
He ain't lying.
but no, this movie is great. So let's get into the characters. So we were talking about Mr. Sugar, as they call him, Sugar.
Chigger.
Yeah. Javier Bardem plays Anton Chigurh. And I would say he is one of the most bone-chilling...
Dude, that gas station scene
Oh,
with the old guy.
I don't know who that old man is. That old man did that so well. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that was great.
Agreed.
Wow.
Like the whole time you're just like, this poor guy.
Like, you don't want him to kill the old man, and that's the only levity in the whole movie where he doesn't kill the old man, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but like the way he eats
Tells him
peanuts.
not to put the coin in his...
Right.
in his, yeah, I know.
The way he eats the nuts in that scene, one by one, and just so meticulously. So well done. It's like, good Lord.
Oh, the way he eats the nuts in that scene.
May notice a few changes. We are back.
I don't notice any changes. I have this same shirt on.
So I just have a hat
Yeah,
on.
me too.
Ryan had to change
water bottle, though.
all of his clothes. Ryan had an accident, everybody.
Yeah, what happened was Ryan started perspiring heavily thinking about the gas station.
Yeah,
scene.
we were talking about how meticulously so things happen in real life that interrupt podcast, and now we're back to talk about No Country for Old Men. Here we go. So we were talking about the scene in the gas station where Sugar was eating the nuts. And I was talking about how meticulously he was eating them. And
Don't make a comment. Don't make a comment. Don't make a comment.
and I thought that was like some of the most, I don't know, it made me uneasy just the way he was one by one just so precisely eating the nut. I don't think he did, but it felt like he even kind of bit one in half. And
he's like everything he does, like all the stuff they catch like that, his little actions are so like intentional.
Yeah.
Like when he grabs the coins out of his pocket and he's like shuffling through the coins and he's like slowly like
and he's like, don't put that coin in your pocket. I mean, everything was just so, it was just
Get mixed in with all the other coins.
Yeah. But that old man behind the
Then it'll
counter
become
was
a coin.
great. Yeah.
Just a coin, which it is.
Oh man, that scene was bone chilling. One of the better scenes I've seen in probably the last 20 years, I would say personally. That and the
Poor guy just wanted to close his store,
yeah,
early.
and he was being so nice about it and everything. Is there something wrong? It's like, and it was like talking about how it was inherited or he married into the store. Oh man.
The way I read an article about this movie after I watched it, and I can't remember what the source was, but the author described him as a unstoppable force of nature, and I was like, that's like really true.
Yeah.
In this movie, he just like I thought about the scene where he shows up at that executive's office and he just like walks in the door. And
Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he's like, I guess tending to his wound, when he blows up the car so he can go and get the pharmaceutical. Oh man, that was gruesome. It looked real, for crying out loud. Kudos on the freaking makeup job there. It was, whoo. But everything he did was just. There was nothing. He had blinders on. Everything was, this is what I've got to do. This is the job. This is it. And it didn't matter if it was the people paying him. It didn't matter who it was. He had no God, so to speak, if you want to say that. He had no boss.
He shouldn't even care about the money. It was just like all about like intention.
The goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
That's what I was kind of saying earlier.
Way earlier.
way earlier.
About how like plotting basically these two characters, he and Brolin's characters, as far as like kind of being 2 steps ahead of each other almost, him a little bit more so, but Brolin's character was still, he still kind of had the jump on him a few times, or just a jump on the situation.
Yeah.
Obviously these characters are written by people, but as far as I wonder, it's not necessarily, I don't know many people that would have that kind of like foresight or instinct, but the characters are written very smartly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Coen brothers, like we said earlier, way earlier, they write so well that, they've written movies that they haven't directed, so, I'd even go check those out, but their character work is just some of the best in the business. They have nice little ticks. They have characteristics that are just so pinpointed.
Of using the props and stuff as like kind of like aids to the characters in like a way that helps to like the obviously we talked about the air gun or whatever, but like the transponder and stuff. It was such a like inexact thing, but at the same time it like helped them like really creep
in the Coen brothers movies from the very beginning. Like I said earlier about Blood Simple, down to their most recent movies. They are just some of the most meticulous people. So when it comes to making movies, so it's a great appreciation. Even if I don't like that particular movie, like Lady Killers, I am not a big fan of Burn After Reading personally, but I appreciate the film.
I love that movie.
I appreciate the filmmaking, So, are you guys?
I also saw. I want to mention it before we move on from this. I saw they were talking about his haircut and how it took so long to develop what his haircut was going to look like, and there was a quote from him that said that when he did it, he went into it knowing that he wasn't going to get laid for 2 months.
Well,
I think I had that haircut in elementary school.
Wait, you had hair?
Yeah. Long time ago.
jumped off his head after that haircut. So, no, I think the haircut, that just goes right into what I was talking about. Just how detail oriented they really are. And I know it's not just the Coen brothers. I know it's a team of people, but I'm just saying the people they surround themselves with are freaking crazy good at everything they do. So,
Sure.
Hats off. The sheriff the deputy that's walking around with Tommy Lee Jones.
Garrett Dillahunt.
Yeah. He is a great comedic actor. He's been in a bunch of like comedy TV shows and movies and such, and his comedy
splits
timing
are so weird. He's like either a great horror actor or a great comedic actor.
Right. And
He's going
I
to be in Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead coming soon to Netflix.
gotta poison every single review with that dummy. So no, but he's great. He was on a show called Raising Hope a bunch of years ago, and oh man, he was the reason I watched the show.
What was the lady Cloris Leachman? She passed away today.
Did she really? Oh, that's sad.
Oh yeah, she was on that show.
Or she's passing away tomorrow. Sorry.
Well,
We
wow,
don't know
Brandon
that yet.
is the news guy. Brandon is the news guy. Well, it's very sad.
Moving on.
Cloris Leachman. She was in her 90s, right?
She
definitely up
was
there.
94. Yeah.
Wow.
She was in Raising Hope. That's exactly when I saw him. I was like, because Melissa and I both watched Raising Hope. It's a funny show. And,
Yeah, it was really funny.
I was like, hey, that's the guy from. I always associate him with that show and with Looper.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's hilarious in Raising Hope.
I'm trying to think. There's a horror movie that he was in that.
And if you ask me, he's kind of like Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston started out, everybody first really noticed Bryan Cranston in Malcolm in the Middle. And both shows are Fox shows, but anyway, I just really
Last
appreciate
House on
his
the Left.
Last House on the
He was
Left.
in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
the remake. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent movie. But no, are you guys, outside of the few movies that you've seen, are you guys like fans of the Coen brothers?
Yeah, I mean, I've already talked a little bit about that in my initial thoughts. That
Yeah, you're talking
Well,
about you watched Hell Caesar and
well-
couldn't get through it, but you
I'll let Ryan give his.
Yeah,
take.
no, I would agree. Like it's one of those hit or miss for me. They did they do Lebowski?
yes.
Yeah. So like I don't know. It's
Was that a hit or a miss for you?
come on, man. That show or that movie is
Some people
amazing.
Some people don't
Did
like
they
it.
really?
Some people don't.
I don't
like
think
it.
I've ever met anybody who doesn't like Big Lebowski.
I've met a few in the last few years, and I don't know them anymore.
Never talked to him again.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, that. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine has the replica of the sweater from Big Lebowski. I was chatting with him. And I was like, "Are you wearing the sweater from Big Lebowski?" He was like, "Yeah, I got it for Christmas."
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I love the Coen brothers for the most part, like I was talking about, but I like their dramatic stuff. I mean, hey, Raising Arizona is really a drama with a lot of comedy in it. It's pretty serious matters and whatnot, but
I respect the range that they have.
yeah, and
Yeah,
the
To do.
They take a. I mean, didn't they do True Grit?
yeah.
So they got. I mean, they've got. I haven't seen everything they've done, but yeah, they have a big range as far as different genre type films.
Yeah, I would say that they are probably some of the best in the business right now as far as overall directing, writing, top to bottom. So now the end of this movie, you were talking about Melissa was kind of like taken
It's a
aback.
thud of an ending.
Yeah. Or is it a thud of an ending? That's what I wanted to ask you guys. How did you feel about the ending? Ryan, you kind of just told us that you said it was a thud. Did you really feel that way, or are you just saying that because of Melissa?
I don't mean that in a negative way. It just ends. Like
Yeah.
there's not a,
Yeah. It's not.
flying off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely atypical as far as the ending is concerned.
Now, I'm not going to say which ones, Ryan. Don't say which ones either, because we've you and I have had conversations about this, but there are some TV shows that you invest your time in life.
Sopranos.
That
I know.
It just goes to black.
I know.
And it is the most disappointing, unsatisfactory. Like you put all that time into it.
We'll
think
get into that later.
I think that I'm okay with a movie doing it, but it's almost to the point to where some people, I think they believe they're being artistic in doing it. I think that some people, like the Coen brothers and others, I think that when they first started kind of doing this, it was an artistic measure, or however you want to say it.
Could just be, ran out of budget.
I honestly think some movies are like that because I don't want to start naming off things, movies and TV shows. It just bothers me to no end that a lot of features do this now, and some of them you can tell it's like that wasn't, they didn't have an ending. They just didn't have an ending whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the ones that come to mind, I've actually liked it. I don't know if I'm in the minority there, but I like the leave it up to interpretation. Maybe go back and rewatch and see if you miss things that suggest what happens at the end.
I like it if it's appropriate for the story. I don't like it if you can honestly tell that, like, okay, Green Room kind of does it, you know, and I think they did it well. And we've reviewed that here, so, you know, but I'm not going to go into details of what that is. But there are others that did it, and I can't even think of them right now, but I remember going, oh, come on. You know, like,
sure,
that's not, and it's not because I was wrapped up in the story or whatever. If it fits, that's great. I think it, you know, it's just like the whole 4:3 argument or whatever, aspect ratio argument, you know. If it fits the narrative, great. If it actually adds to the tension or whatever of the story, great. But if it's just because you didn't have the wherewithal to come up with an ending, and then you want to come up with some art school answer of, nah, man, we just wanted you to figure it out. Like, shut up, you know. But I think this was okay.
You heard it here.
Yeah. Yeah. Technically, we all went to
Al
art
ain't
school.
got no time for that.
No, I don't. I listened to all that nonsense in art school. So, all right.
So what do you make of the ending, Al? How do you interpret it? What's the monologue saying?
I think he's saying that to a certain extent. I think basically, I don't think he's saying like there's no country for old men, there's no room for me or whatever. I think he's just saying it's time for the new regime and my time is done. And like a lot of people say on their deathbed or whatever, you know, I've wasted so much time here and stuff like that. I think he's kind of going into that type
the conversation that he has with his buddy where he talks about being overmatched. I feel like that the ending is just kind of an extension of, I think it was really revealing what the purpose of the final conversation was in that talk.
And that's a gut punch of a conversation that he has with his friend. That's a gut punch. Because, forgive me for forgetting that actor's name, but that guy's been in 1,000 things too. But man, he looked really rough in that scene. I know a lot of it was makeup, but a lot of it was age as well. He's in other Coen brothers movies.
Just talking about Tommy Lee Jones, I was like, Tommy Lee Jones has looked old for like 30 years now.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I looked when the first thing I did is I picked up my phone and I said, Tommy Lee Jones, young. Like, what does he look like? Yeah. What did he look like?
Well, there's a whole generation out there of people that just looked older. Like, you know, like, like my
Steve Martin's had gray hair forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's had it since he was like 24, 25. Read the book, Born Standing Up.
Read the book.
You beat me to it, Brandon.
So, I don't know. I think this movie is one of those ones. I believe this won Oscars and it won.
Oh yes, Oscar time, baby. What you got, Al?
Yeah, all right. So in 1997, no,
I think didn't this lose to There Will Be Blood?
Was it the same year?
I think that's the case. I could be wrong, but I figured Al would have it right there written down because I just assumed we were doing this.
It won Best Picture in 2008.
This movie did, or
yeah, this movie.
Okay.
Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best
now that
Sound
you mention it, I did when I pulled the Blu-ray out. They got all the awards and stuff on the front.
I want to talk about the wife, Kelly MacDonald. This was the first time I ever saw her in anything. And I thought she was great in this movie. And we always talk about the accent and everything. Now, she has no right in her freaking life. She's not even from America. And she nailed the accent. She nailed the subtleties of it. She nailed everything about it. So kudos to her. Plus, she becomes like the only innocent character in this whole movie, really. She's like, she's like her mom. I forget the lady's name that plays her mom, but she is the same character in every single movie.
Yeah, she's in Speed, right?
And she's in Donnie Darko.
She's the one character in this movie I can't handle.
She's the same character in every movie. They just put a gray wig on her sometimes. She's the old version of that, or the
isn't she in? I think she's in like a horror movie also, like plays like
more than likely she's
a Jason movie or something.
She's in a ton of stuff, and she's always the same character, exact same character. And
I was like, that was like the only cringe I have in this movie is when the
but I think you're supposed to.
The cartel guy comes up to her and she's like, "Can you help me with my bags? I am not well."
Yeah, but I think Kelly MacDonald, I mean, she's a very good actress, and I remember walking out of the theater. I was somebody I used to date, and we walked out of the theater, and that's who we talked about was Kelly MacDonald. That and we talked about Javier Bardem, of course, because we hadn't seen him before either. But she kind of, everybody else was so gritty and gruff. And then she was the piece. She was that low line for me. So I really appreciated her performance. I think she nailed the accent. So I think people could take a note from her in Hollywood. I thought
that she was, and this is a compliment, I thought that she kind of disappeared into that to where it didn't draw attention to itself. Like she felt the role was very lived in.
Yeah. And whenever she has that ending scene with Javier Bardem and she's like, she refuses to say heads or tails or whatever. She refuses to play his game. I mean, they could have easily written that. They could have easily directed that so poorly. They could have made him like a raging lunatic to where I don't get my way or whatever. But he just walks out the front door, and when he wipes his feet and looks for the blood on his shoes, he's like, okay, she's dead. Mm-hmm. It's just the subtleties of this movie are fantastic. So this is definitely one of those movies. This is the type of movie that I really, really enjoy. So,
what did you guys think about the decision to kind of shy away from showing that like final big, confrontation between?
I liked it.
Motel.
I liked it. I don't think you have to have a showdown.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You talking about the keyhole thing?
No, just like Tommy Lee Jones, like just arriving at the aftermath and them not actually showing. Like,
gotcha. Yeah, I think kind of what we were talking about earlier, like leaving things to the imagination. I think there's a couple times in this movie where it's done tastefully, where they kind of like what you're talking about, where you see him checking for blood, like what happened, but.
Yeah, they trust the audience.
Leave context clues to,
They trust the audience. And that's when I get frustrated about movies, that's the kind of stuff that I wish more filmmakers would do. I don't think you have to overwhelm people with information and hit people over the head with the story. So
I think it's a tool that
Well-
people could use more often too nowadays, just because everyone's so desensitized, especially in a movie like this, where
Mhm.
like they may not be like they'd be hard pressed to come up with a scene there that would shock people. I feel like it's more effective the way
Yeah.
that they did it.
That's what I was going to say. They'd had enough violence and tension already to where what else could they kind of add to kind of raise the stakes in this type of movie? It's like you're saying, just leave it to your imagination and see the end result instead of the actual event.
well, guys, I think we're down to the nitty gritty here. I think I know what everybody's going to say, but let's find out. Brandon, would you buy? Would you sell? Would you tell this movie to go away? Would you watch it? What would you do?
I would buy this movie. I
As
did
you
buy
already
this
did.
movie, and as I mentioned, it was a brand new movie that had just been sitting there unwrapped. I need to go. That would be a good game or good let's review this movie that Brandon has in his collection that's still unwrapped and finally watch it.
I have some of those as well.
You happen to have Indiana Jones?
He does.
It's unwrapped. I had those digital copies. Got to get those redeemed for the expire, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't watch them.
But yeah, I would buy it.
All right. Ryan, what would you do?
I would buy and have bought this movie.
Okay. Awesome. I would buy this movie, and I have bought this movie. I would
Is
also
there a criterion of this movie, Al?
no, but there is a criterion of
surprising.
Blood Simple. I would buy this movie, and I would also probably gift this movie. This is one of those movies that's always on the sell rack somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if you're looking for a good movie to buy somebody, I would say this is a good one to buy somebody.
I think it's a movie that is like kind of unexpectedly great. Like you look at the cover art, you don't really know. No Country for Old Men, vague title, vague cover, and then you pop it in, and it's
Yeah, a
pretty
lot of
amazing.
people like to liken this movie, well, like to liken the movie Hell or High Water to this movie, but I believe that is a watered down version of this movie for sure. All right, well, that's our review of No Country for Old Men. Now we're going to tell everybody what they are going to have a chance on voting for us to watch next week. But first, Ryan, do you want to tell everybody how they can get in touch with us again?
Yep. Easiest thing to do is drop down and leave your comments in the comments, as we say. You can also put your vote down for which movie you want to see reviewed down there. And also, we invite you to follow us on Instagram at CiNEMACHinePod, and we will have a graphic up there where you can cast your vote as well.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, we'll start with you. What are you going to throw up this week for everybody to vote on?
A movie that I'm very, very excited to see.
They're not releasing a
The
DC
Little
movie.
Things.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
The
I wouldn't do that to you, Al.
Okay.
It's coming out this weekend, I think. And it's on
29th.
HBO Max.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
part of that deal. Okay.
Yep. It's got Jared Leto, Denzel Washington, Rami Malek. It's got a cool cast, a lot of Academy Award winners, and kind of gives, like, the trailer kind of feels like Seven-ish to me. So I'm excited to watch it. It's a movie. Seven's a movie I really love.
Did you
Awesome.
say what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Little Things.
Okay.
He did.
I missed it.
All right.
Little Things That Kill.
No.
Tearing at my brain again.
No.
No. Not Bush.
Brandon, what do you nominate?
If you just speak it, it's not a copyright thing, right? Didn't sing it, so
It's true.
What are you going to put out there?
I am going to put out a new movie that's coming out this weekend. It stars Jared Leto, Rami Malek.
Really?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hang
what?
on.
Denzel Washington,
Hang on.
directed by John Lee Hancock.
Is this the only way Brandon can win? Is by teaming up with Ryan? So he's like, hey, I'm gonna piggyback on
This is
your
what he's been
nomination.
reduced to, is piggybacking.
It's the little things.
What is happening here? Okay. All right.
Good choice, Brandon. Excellent choice.
I am not gonna put that out there. Not the biggest Denzel Washington fan, so I'm gonna give y'all a better choice of a movie. This movie came out in 1945. It's really good. It stars Cornell Wilde and Gene Tierney.
Ah, Cornell. Yes, yes, Cornell.
Classic.
It's directed by John M. Stahl. There is a Criterion version of this movie.
Do you own it?
I do. I do own it. It's fantastic. This movie.
I'm just gonna put available at Al's house.
That's right.
This movie is called Leave Her to Heaven.
That is a very expected title.
Expected title. This is a great movie. It's I really want
So I got a question for you. You trying to tank our ratings or what?
no, I think people would really be interested in this. So, I'm wearing the Criterion Corner sweatshirt. Thought I would represent a little bit, bring a little
People, this is why we're not selling the sweatshirt.
flavor to the show. Anyway, so yeah, Leave Her to Heaven. Pretty excited.
Mm-hmm. Rally the troops.
Brandon,
Good luck.
if you can't find a thumbnail for that on Google for
I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna put "Who cares."
Okay, so
just have Al take a picture of
We're gonna,
his Criterion and send it to you.
we're gonna go have a bully session apparently for a minute, and we'll be right back with the wrap up where Brandon tells us the latest movie news, and we all kind of fill you in on what we've been watching. See you in just a minute. All right, we are back with the wrap up. This is where we tell you what we've been watching, but first we're going to let Brandon fill us in on the latest comings and goings of Hollywood. Brandon, take it away.
All right, so a few quick things this week.
Energy, Brandon.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah.
Few quick things.
Well, I thought
Can't
our
smoke a
intention-
cigarette in
I
the
thought our
middle.
intention with the wrap up was to just keep it casual, man. It's conversation.
Well, yeah, but
Casual,
y'all sound
but
bummed
with a
about what
pulse.
You're talking about.
You
So this week on the wrap up, the movie news we
We've
got
got
today
some
is
zingers.
James Bond. No Time to Die has been pushed again. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I'm about to take a lighter to my poster that I have hanging on my wall, in my theater area.
Yeah.
Had it up since, I guess, when did the first poster come out? It's been like 2 years now.
I don't know. The original date was what, April of last year?
I think
That's what my poster says.
and 7 years ago applies. So,
That's right.
yeah, it's
And I'm
some time.
not gonna roll off all the dates. Just more movies are delayed. Bond's delayed. Uncharted, Ghostbusters.
They're all delayed.
The King's Man, Quiet Place 2.
It seems to happen every few months where like one falls and then the dominoes just start rolling.
See, this is why old movies won't hurt you. New movies just never show up. Old movies are always there.
Old movies don't break your heart, Al.
They don't break your heart. They're safe.
So yeah, well, that's really it for that one. Just wanted to say things are continuing to get delayed once again. So speaking of the future of theaters, though, as far as movies being delayed, there was an article that I read that I thought was kind of interesting, which was, I think it was, I don't know where the article was originally from, but I saw it on Slash Film. Paul Greengrass had said that he thinks that cinemas are going to be back. He didn't say full force. He said 6 months, but personally, I feel like that's a little optimistic.
Yes.
And then on the other coin of that, Ang Lee was saying that he thinks that in order to kind of revitalize cinemas, that they're going to need some sort of like upgrade, quote unquote. Basically something that's going to make people feel like this is the only way I can experience a movie other than sitting at the house.
Splash it with water
Can
and
I-
stuff.
Can I make a suggestion? When theaters reopen, I think the three of us, and we invite whomever else, we all take a road trip to the closest Alamo Draft House to celebrate theaters reopening. And we watch a movie.
Well, they're supposed to be. Are they still building one like out near Atlanta?
Last time I checked, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, there you
So
go.
anyway,
There's the answer.
I think
Shame.
we should
I
do
agree.
that. They're
Well,
great.
Reason
Fantastic.
Well, I'm down. We were gonna do that
Same.
when we went to see Rage.
Yeah,
Raleigh,
we had tickets
but-
to go see Rage Against the Machine, and then the world stopped turning. Yeah.
The reason why the Ang Lee thing is an interesting comment is because Ang Lee, for a long time, has been kind of a pioneer of new theater technology, or maybe a torch leader for it. Maybe to his detriment, because it hasn't really went over as well. Like he was big into 3D with like Life of Pi. And I think the Billy's halftime walk thing, or was it? Yeah, I think it was that one. And Gemini Man, he was pushing like 128 frames a second or whatever it was.
Should have pushed a good
yeah.
movie.
But
But
get it out. Will
I-
Smith was in it.
I didn't see either of those. But I have to respect him for trying to, do some new things.
The
To try and-
upgrade thing is just, it's such a niche. Like,
Yeah.
the people who really care about that stuff is just not going to sway a huge volume of people to come back to movies, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Well, I mean, but I don't disagree with them in terms of them needing to advertise, basically make a selling point for people to show up and get out of their house. Because
They tried out in L.A. a couple years ago. I don't know if they still had it going before COVID or not, but they tried having theaters, like certain actual theater rooms in the theater house where they had like jungle gyms and stuff like that in there for like kinder care.
Mhm.
So they could play with kids while they were watching a movie. I was like, that sounds like the worst experience in the world.
yeah, I saw
Yeah,
an article about that.
would agree with you on the advertising front. I just don't know if, and I don't know what upgrade means. I haven't read
Well,
the article, but
I think it's
it's a
basically.
tech thing. I
I
just
think
don't
it's
think
a.
it'll-
I mean, I think it is a tech thing. I think it's like the biggest picture, the biggest sound, stuff that you can't do in your house, essentially.
Well-
and also, I mean, he is a like the with the whole frame rate thing. He's been pushing that, but for the longest time, it seemed like dine-in cinema was like the thing to get people to come to the theaters, which is not for me. I hate that experience, but I know a lot of people enjoy it. But I don't know.
Well,
Just wanted to see. What you guys think.
I'll say this about theaters. I say, if you actually work out the pricing of taking your family, the average
That's true.
Joe does not care if they have the best screen or whatever. They care if they can get tickets for their budget. People like us care about all that stuff. I don't want my seat to rumble, but I do want good sound. You know what I mean? I'll pay a little extra for that experience. I would say the average Joe does not care one way or the other, and they want to be able to bring their family of 3 or 4 in to watch a movie without going bankrupt. And so work on your concession prices. If certain teams like the Falcons and others like that can get their concession prices down to a reasonable amount, I think they can do that at the movies. I think we've said it 100 times on here. Stop being so selfish and greedy. And that's the advancements you need to make in movie theaters. Movie theaters used to be weird places with the crazy carpet, and they smelled like stale popcorn, and you'd have the faint smell of a baby's diaper in the background because somebody changed it and threw it in the same trash can.
That's what you need back.
But I'm just saying, like that, that experience, like the screens weren't that great, the seats were rickety, all that, but that's when people were filling the theaters up. Now, movies make a lot of money, but it's because they don't sell as many tickets. It's because they sell higher price tickets. So if you actually go back and look at the top 10 movies and look at what movies actually sold the most tickets, the order will change greatly. So that's what I'm saying is better movies, cheaper prices,
better ingredients, Papa John's.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's real simple. It's just that put the customer first, and maybe we won't have to end the theater experience whenever something like this happens again. God forbid something like this happens again.
Yeah, it's a mind shift. We've talked about it with the creative talent with Hollywood, but the whole industry has to have a little bit of a gut check in regards to expectations, because everything's become so inflated.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Got to figure out a way to.
Speaking of the talent, this is just a little aside. Did you guys see that Nolan said that he doesn't plan to work with Warner Brothers?
I did,
again because of the HBO Max move.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. He's so off.
You know how I feel about that whole
he's
thing.
So
it's
off the mark lately. It's kind of frustrating.
Oh well.
But,
all right, Brandon, what else you got for us?
Well, the next thing that was on the list was so Hollywood Reporter put out a story this week that WB is developing WB/HBO Max is developing a Harry Potter series for TV. But then within the same article, it said when reached out for comment, the studio said there are no Harry Potter series in development at the studio or the streaming platform. So I was like, all right, well, this is kind of weird because Hollywood Reporter is one of the most legit sources for reporting, and this was.
I read somewhere that it was a contractual thing potentially, they're not able to announce anything until the end of the year.
I also want to say that in my brain, when you said WB, I heard the CW and I got nervous. So
I was wondering why you
I was like, what?
The WB.
It's that was a serious Al recoil.
I was like, so, all right, well.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
there's no indication as far as
that
what
can down
the
the
series
street.
will be about.
Imagine
there'd been talk for a while, that they were wanting to do, more. Obviously, they want to do more stuff in the Potterverse, but there's been talk about bringing the gang back, Radcliffe and all those guys back, for maybe the Cursed Child. I don't know if this would be what that would end up being or not, but.
So my wife Katie, she's diehard Harry Potter fan. Has read the books a bajillion times over and over, and it's funny as I sent her this article, and that her gut reaction was no. I was like, are you turning into Jeff with the Star Wars movies over Harry Potter? And she's like, I guess I can kind of understand that mentality when I look at it through the Harry Potter lens, because she's got this universe established in her head from.
Did they make a book out of the Cursed Child? I know it was a play at first.
I think they put out a book that was like a playwright, like a script. So I don't know, but whatever. I mean, whatever. I like Harry Potter where it ended, personally, but whatever.
Well, you can't let things die. You gotta
keep those rights going.
Keep them going.
Yeah.
So. IP is king, so we'll see.
Is that everything?
The only other thing that I was going to bring up was the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. That was a big trailer that came out this weekend. Made a lot of noise in the internets, and so
I know I'm in the minority, but I'm pretty excited about this one.
I don't think you're in the minority in terms of even though I have hesitation. I think I'm just trying to keep my expectations in check.
I just don't think I have. I don't think I have high expectations. Like I kind of said for like these monster movies, like I'm just not looking for much.
Yeah. I'm not going to
So
sit here
that
and
might
act
be
like
part
I'm
of
the
it for me.
biggest King Kong or Godzilla fan in the world. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched the old ones or like, they have a
Yeah.
really nice Criterion version.
I definitely have not
box
watched
set,
the old ones.
but-
I've seen jokes about the old ones,
Yeah.
but I've not watched the old
But
ones.
I'm not going to go back and watch that. It's not my jam. I'm not a big monster movie guy. I did like how Gareth Edwards did the Godzilla movie, Bryan Cranston and all. I really enjoyed that. And then so I went into the one Godzilla
King of Monsters.
Yeah. And I was excited because the director of say it with me.
Krampus.
Yeah. He directed it, so I really enjoyed Krampus and I was really excited. And it wasn't great.
I definitely
wasn't
liked the
good.
first one better than the last one.
It was. It felt like they took the criticism of there's not enough Godzilla.
Yeah, you saw his
and
ankle.
They kind of overextended that in terms of like I guess it was an overcorrection on their part and kind of forgot about the human element of the story.
I need to rewatch that one. I only saw it once in theaters. I do have it, but I need to watch it.
I didn't.
Did you like Kong?
No, Skull Island.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Gotcha.
I was excited for that movie based on the trailer, and then
it was not good.
I've only seen it once, but I am going to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch all three of these before. I think.
Hey, hopefully they can do something good, but that trailer looked like poopy.
They need to stop. I cannot stand when they throw like
modern music,
rock riffs, or whatever. They
threw
with,
like fake rage in there or something like
what
that.
What movie was that recently? Enola Holmes. They did that too, and it had no like. I watched the movie. It was actually a decent movie.
Well, you can see the marketing brain
of that
as far as them trying to
part of the score or anything.
Appeal to a younger audience. It's like, we got to get the kids excited.
It was like not that it's a good song, but it was like a watered down version of that Click Click Boom song. That's what it was like.
That is a good song.
Is it?
Yeah, really good song. Saliva, Jesse Scott, good, really good.
All right. So, yeah.
Anyway, Godzilla versus Kong got a new release date.
Twice.
Pushed it back a week. It's coming out March 31st, I believe, on HBO Max and a theater near you, if there is one that's open.
All right. So
everybody get your HBO Max subscriptions.
See, if everybody had just put all their release dates on April Fool's Day, and then when it came time, they had to change it again. Like, we were just kidding. That'd have been the best. So, all right, Brandon. So that's the news, right?
That's it. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So, Ryan, what have you been watching this week?
Al's got to take a bathroom break.
Al's petrified.
Yeah. You're broken, Brandon.
Not petrified. Ugh, gross.
So I know we've got kind of Brandon. You may have some of the same things on the list here. So we can kind of talk through those at the same time. I'll talk about what we did not watch. Star Wars Episode 9. I had not seen it in a while. I watched it with a buddy of mine who is a very casual Star Wars fan, and he's just one of these people that like when we watch a movie, he just won't stop talking. Like, and then he'll like ask questions, and I'm like, if you weren't talking, they would have answered that 5 minutes ago. And then he trashes on the movie because he's not paying attention. So it was not a great watch.
Calling you out. Don't know who you are, but calling you out.
Sup, Josh?
Yeah. Sup, John? And it's just funny because I like Brandon. I'm sure you can relate. Like when people dog on movies that you like super intensely. Like I feel like defensive about them. So I like gotten like
Are you
heated arguments with him after we
particular?
do what? You what?
Nothing.
But it was I kind of told you on the phone the other day. This movie, I still enjoy it. The stock has gone down a little bit for me since it came out. And episode 7's really the only of the sequel trilogy that every time I watch it, I like it more and more. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but there's just little things that as I've watched this one over and over again that just kind of slowly becoming less and less popular for me. And then I watched Tiger, the second of 2 episodes of the Tiger documentary.
The finale.
Yeah, the premiere and the finale.
What'd you think?
It's an awesome documentary.
Finally got into the scandalous elements
that they
of
did.
Tiger. So
And
was this documentary endorsed by Tiger, or
I don't know. I was wondering that too.
because I have to think it wasn't.
I
They never interview him.
I feel like to some extent though it has to be signed off on.
Well, that Michael Jackson one that was on HBO, that wasn't, put on by anybody in the Jackson family, and then a lot of that stuff ended up not being true. So
I just think it's called Tiger. His name is his face is the the art for the thing. I don't know. Maybe it's not endorsed by him, but I had just forgotten how. Obviously, I remember publicly when the Vegas thing came crashing down, but I'd forgotten that it happened like multiple times over the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
Like him getting pulled over and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it wasn't as long in my head for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that documentary. And like I said, even though I don't follow the sports element of it, like personally, I still enjoy that, I enjoy watching these documentaries, seeing the kind of just the innate drive and talent of these people, and just showing all their accolades, and obviously a lot of the drama and kind of the price that they pay.
I was not aware of all the military stuff that he did to kind of try and reconnect with his father, dead father,
posthumously.
Yeah.
posthumously.
But no, it's
I can't imagine what that kind of pressure does to a person. I mean, they kind of go into it as far as
Oh gosh, yeah.
It's just
they had that one little shot of he's doing some shoot where he's got a bunch of kids around him or something, and the kids sitting next to him is how do you get used to this? And Tiger says you never get used to it. It would just be exhausting. But this documentary is definitely worth a watch. Brandon doesn't even like sports, and he liked it. So highly recommend. I also watched the latest WandaVision.
me too. Me too.
It just feels right now. It just feels like procedural on steroids, procedural Mandalorian on steroids for me. There was the little moment there at the end where, spoilers, but where she, starts freaking out and crying. You get the sense that something malevolent is going on. I enjoyed that scene, but it was very short.
Well, it definitely seems like they're going the slow burn route. And I know that it's dividing people. And listen, I'm not a Marvel, I'm not a cultist when it comes to Marvel. You could say that I am when it comes to DC, and I'd say you may have
You're
some.
exactly right.
But I'm not that way with Marvel, and honestly not even really with DC. It's just one very small faction of DC.
All of it.
No, not true. We've talked about this. I only like 2 of the movies in the DCEU. And by I mean I love them. But
you own them all, right?
No,
You like Wonder Woman?
I like the first Wonder Woman. I didn't. You can watch our review. Wonder Woman 84. Didn't like that. Didn't like Birds of Prey. Didn't like
Sexist Pig.
Didn't like Suicide Squad. Didn't like. There's a lot of them, Anyway, I think I said this last week, but I have to give them credit for trying something different, because this is definitely different, even though it might be a little boring and kind of plotting, just slow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that there's gonna be a turning point, and it's gonna get pretty interesting. And again, it's not. And the thing is it's not like it's poorly made. I think it's pretty well made.
They spent a lot of money on it. I don't remember what the budget that was released the other day.
It said $250 million.
Yeah,
is what I read. Which right now I don't see that anywhere as far as money. I mean, so far it seems like it's like small sets. Like it just seems like a small Hollywood movie set.
Each episode is $25 million.
Gotcha. And I don't know how many episodes. Maybe 8.
I'm guessing 10 if you said $250 million.
Don't do the math good out in Ralston.
But I don't think there's 10 episodes. But $250 million was the one that I think that they get, the scale of the show is going to increase as the episodes progress.
If I was simply saying last week versus this, I guess premiere week versus this previous week, it's gone up for me. If that is any indication,
I would agree.
My opinion's still the same. Haven't watched it. Don't know anything about it.
Well, the thing about it is, Al, if there was a Marvel thing that you would like, I think this would be it, because it's more to your sensibilities in terms of tone and weirdness. But I'm not going to say you should watch it, because I don't think you should. But
so then the last thing I had is, and we won't talk about it because I know we're going to do a review on it, but I just want to make sure that Brandon is doing the Sopranos thing. Just want to check in.
Brandon is doing the Sopranos thing.
Nice.
I'm 5 episodes into the Sopranos thing.
Wow, I'm impressed. Cool.
I don't know if you want me to talk about anything so far.
If you want to.
Are we doing a episode on Sopranos only when he finishes? I guess we can talk.
Yeah, we'll do that. But just tell us the temperature of your opinion right now.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm not looking forward to watching it every night. I'm not oh, I can't wait to watch the next episode. I'm not there yet. Maybe it'll change.
Its claws will sink into you.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. I do feel like it's dated. I'm sorry. I don't feel like it's it has the things that I was worried about going into it are true for me so far.
Give it a little time, because it very quickly evolves, technology wise. Even season 2.
You're watching the first season. I mean, they didn't have the biggest budget in the first season either, so they were trying to do a lot of stuff with very low budget, but then they really amped up the budget in the second season. The bada bing stays the same.
I like the characters.
Of course.
I really enjoy, really all the characters. But I mean, I right now it's one of my fears was that I've seen this stuff done more in a more modern more technically, I guess a more refined way that they, like a Breaking Bad or, even like there. So many shows have aped this show, and I can tell where the inspiration comes from. And I'm not one of those people that's like, well, it's not the original is better because it's the original. So far, I think these other shows that aped it did it better personally, but
right on.
On a technical level, and also because other things have aped it, it's like I see the pattern of the way things go. Just to give you reference as far as where I am, I think we just watched the episode where Tony takes his daughter to tour colleges.
Oh, yeah. College is a great episode.
So,
cool.
That's where I am.
That was
the weekly Sopranos check-in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know to what rate I will. I know that my goal is just to finish it before Many Saints of New York comes out, which is in September. So,
sure.
Well, you got time.
Is
Melissa enjoying it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she's the last couple nights she has been like, "You want to go downstairs and watch Sopranos?" She's initiated it, so
nice.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of The Wire in terms of the way it's filmed. I mean, The Wire was in 4:3, but not that this one is not. But as far as like the music intro reminds me a lot of that title card, that kind of thing. And it's also an HBO show that kind of came out around the same time. But
yeah,
that static at the beginning reminds you.
Well, no, I mean that's every show. But yeah.
Well,
no, I mean I appreciate the show. I'm watching it like we always say, like Ryan and I often say, through the lens of this is an older show, and I have to do that.
Sure.
So
I don't have that issue. I don't know why, but I don't have that issue at all.
Because, and here's even like technical things, like when they punch people, it makes a noise, or when they kick people, it's like, like little things like that. They're like, okay, that's kind of silly. It's dated at this point. Some of the execution, it's the filmography, the cinematography is a little dated, at least in this season. And
they have a lot of guest directors and stuff like that because it gained steam pretty quickly after the first season, or during the first season. So second season, not that I still think the first season's fantastic, but so we'll do a whole recap. We'll do a whole special episode when Brandon does finish. And then you guys can all just gang up and tell him how wrong he is if he doesn't like it. So,
well, like I said, I'm not saying I don't like it. It doesn't have its hooks in me yet. And again, I appreciate it. I just don't. I don't know. I'm sure that. Did you watch it? Did you watch it live, Al, or was it something you returned to?
Yeah, I watched
Ryan,
it.
Did you watch it as it was airing?
I watched the last season live,
but so you watched it,
and I don't think I even watched all of them yet. Like my
when was the final season? Like when did it? Was it
2006, 8 or something?
Yeah, it was.
Did it air, the first season aired in '99, I think. Is that what?
Something like that.
It's 6 seasons. They split the last one into 2.
Mm-hmm.
2007. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this show, I mean, yeah.
This is another thing. Is like that's why I was so like hesitant to start. There's what 12, 14 episodes per season. They're all an hour long. I'm like, man, this is just an undertaking.
Yeah, it's a commitment. I get you.
So
it's a commitment, but
look, I just wanted to check in, make sure you started it. Not expecting you to love it, just make sure you started it.
Yeah, I watched 4 seasons.
Al's like, it's great.
I watched 4 seasons of Game of Thrones before I came. I was like, yeah, this isn't good. So I just had to give that up. All right. So, anybody else watch anything else?
The only other thing that I wanted to say was we watched Alita Battle Angel.
Nice.
Friday night with Luna. I made sure that I had my hand on the mute button for the one F-bomb that I knew was coming. Just trying to, be at least a little bit of a response. That movie is because they have it's all robots and stuff. Like they get away with a lot more violence for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this. I hadn't seen it since Al, myself.
that was my question. How
watched
stock
it in
up,
theaters.
stock down?
Up. It was up, and I hope that they. I don't think that they'll make a sequel to it. I hope they do. Luna was crying by the end of it because of her boyfriend dying. She's only cried in 3 movies now: Fellowship of the Ring, King Kong, and Alita. And so I was like, well, maybe he's alive. Alita fell from the Sky City, and they brought her. Maybe they'll bring him back in the next movie, and then. The next day, Luna was like, so can we go watch the next movie? And I was like, well, I don't. They haven't announced that they're going to make the next movie yet. Hopefully, she's like, well, can we watch the trailer for it? And I was like, they don't have one yet for it, babe. So
yeah, I love
it. Even though she gave it 1 star, she liked it.
When this one came out, I know I really loved it. I saw it in theaters, and I know you enjoyed it, but you weren't super. You saw it? Did you see it in theaters or wait till it was?
Yeah, Al and I
saw it
and
in
Rusty
theaters.
saw it in theaters.
Yes.
Gotcha. Al, did you like it or no?
It's all right. I mean, I like the girl that plays Alita, and I forget her name. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not trying to be rude, but
I really wish
like
that
Rosie something or
something like that.
I really
she was
wish
really good.
that they would have actually used her instead of making, because sometimes the CG is
that's
convincing,
what
and sometimes it's like, man, why
this
couldn't they have just used her and made her eyes bigger, like in post?
Yeah, it just kind of
took me out of
this is one of those things where I feel like we had a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, I loved this because I felt like I was watching a live action anime, and it was awesome. And she was a huge part of that. But I get that you guys aren't into that, so I didn't see how.
It's only because you have all these other. The only thing different about her is her eyes. As far as they could have easily just used her because they made it look like her. Used her in some way in post, made her eyes big. That way, when you have this actual human right beside her, you don't have this like uncanny valley, stuff.
And the bad guy, the bad robot or whatever he is, don't they use his real face?
Yeah,
if I remember right, they could have done the same thing.
Deadpool.
Yeah, they could have done the exact same thing.
Because his stuff, even his because that's the part where it gets iffy is the face.
Yep.
The rest of his body was all CG, but it looked great.
Exactly.
The stuff that didn't look good on Alita, I mean, everything was pretty convincing. It's just like her face is like there's something about.
I get you.
CGI faces.
I liked that part of it.
But yeah.
But anyway, Alita Battle Angel, it stuck up for me for sure, and I hope they make another one. Maybe Disney Plus is an avenue that they can explore that further.
It'd be awesome. I would love to see
now
that
Disney
world expand.
owns Fox, but we'll see. Al, what did you watch?
I am. We don't need to throw a graphic up or anything. I'm still on my Twin Peaks kick, and trying to get through all that. I'm loving it. Every second of it.
Let's wrap this show up. So
I'm right in the middle of an episode. Had to stop so we could record this. But I also started the series The Americans.
Nice. That's been on my list for a while.
It's on Prime, so I'm watching that. And
that's got a lot of seasons, doesn't it?
6,
yep.
yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. 2 episodes in, something like that. Because I'm really focused on Twin Peaks right now, to be honest with you. I'm just taking that in. But I needed a little bit of a break, just something different,
Yeah.
And
that was the first show that I watched that like I kind of accepted a non-premium like network show as super quality.
Yeah.
Well, FX
Yeah, they do some
other
good
than
jokes.
HBO, FX is like
For sure,
right
but
behind.
that was kind of like one of the first ones that they did.
Yeah. So that's all I'm really taking in, because the Twin Peaks, like I said, I'm doing the show, the first 2 seasons, then the movie, then the new season that came out in 2017. So I'm actually having to buy the final season because I don't have Showtime. But anyway, no, I'm enjoying it. The Americans that's a really good show so far. And I never thought I would watch a show with Kerry Russell being like total beast in it. You know, like she goes beast mode in that show. So far.
She's like tiny too.
Yeah, she's teeny tiny. And she used to be, what was that show? Felicity? Is that what it was that she was in?
I think so.
Where she was like the girl next door with the curly hair, and, you know, everybody loved her and all that stuff. And now she's like this Russian spy. So anyway, great show. So that's what I've been taking up.
That one's been on my list for a while. I would love to check it out at some point.
Yeah, it's really good. So I'm not going to come on anymore and talk about Twin Peaks, and I'm probably not going to talk about the Americans anymore just because they're long ventures, both of them. I am going to do a full Criterion cast once I finish all the Twin Peaks, so I won't bore everybody every
Criterion
week.
Corner, Brent or Al. It's your show.
What did I call it? Criterion cast? Criterion Corner. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's right in front of you, man.
It's on your shirt, bro.
It's backwards when I look at it. So anyway, no, Criterion Corner. So no, I'm really excited though, and I'm gonna say something to you guys just to see. I know you're never gonna watch Twin Peaks unless you lose like the best bet ever, and then you're gonna have to watch it.
That's what you should have bet me for the Bama game.
You put up. Like, oh, we should bet. And then you never put up any stakes. It's like, yeah, you want to do this? And you're like, oh, we can do better than that. And I was like, all right. I said, Brandon can choose the stakes.
Last thing
And nothing ever came my way. So I just let it go.
Brandon's just too nice. He didn't want to see either of us hurt.
No, Brandon didn't care about sports. He was like, sports can't ruin it. So there is a lady in Twin Peaks.
Some lady.
She walks around with a log in her arms like a baby. And the log becomes a key witness in the murder. So that's the kind of show I'm watching. And I love it.
You shouldn't have led with that.
So it's great. And then there's a scene where a guy gets shot and he's laying on the floor. And the guy that played Lurch in the Addams Family movies, and he was in Dr. Sleep as well, he comes in and he it's like, I'll tell you three facts, blah blah blah, and then this waiter, the guy orders room service, and the room service is on his way. And this old man comes in with room service, and it's the longest scene in the world. And he's like, sees this guy shot on the floor, bleeding out. And he's like, he ordered warm milk so he could go to sleep. And he's like, your milk's going to get cold? Like, that was his whole thing. And then he goes, I've heard of you. And then he walks out, and he's like that. And then they just
I think we had to have been there.
They have this tight shot of the door. And the guy comes back, goes, I've heard of you, like that. And the guy on the floor lifts his thumb up. And they do a tight shot of the door again. And you're like, don't come back in the freaking door, man. It's like, stop coming in the door. I was mad at the show at that point.
I feel like I'm there, man.
No, it was really weird, but it was great.
Well, I'm glad that you said you're not going to talk about it anymore on future episodes.
Yeah. Well, I'll have you on as guest for Criterion Corner. So
we've got Brandon and
we're gonna
Ryan
keep-
on.
we're
They
gonna
have
keep
not
you to
seen the
that.
show.
anyway, it's great. I'm enjoying my time. I haven't sat down to watch a TV show like this in a long time. So pretty fun. All right. Well, I think that's everything we've watched this week. Got some great movie news from Brandon. Ryan, would you like to tell everybody how they can tell us what they've been watching, how they can vote on, of course, Leave Her to Heaven? You want to tell them? You want to put it out there?
I think it's very. I need to go ahead and say I think it's very obvious which movies you need to select for a review next week.
Leave Her to Heaven.
And you can drop that vote down in the comments below, or on Instagram at CiNEMACHiNE. We'll have a graphic up where you can cast your vote there for The Little Things.
I just want to say
Or
something.
The Little Things.
Yeah. Echo.
Or if you want to watch something with really good acting and
The
craft,
Little Things.
Leave Her to Heaven. So, folks, thanks for tuning in to CiNEMACHiNE this week. Keep watching a ton of movies. We'll see you next time on CiNEMACHiNE.
Bye.